Alright, hey everybody, so welcome to another After We Fell movie topic video. So today's topic video is all about the intimate scenes in After We Fell and whether or not there was any improv during the scenes. You know what, let's go ahead and get this out of the way up front before I get into, the crux of this video. There wasn't any improv. Despite there being a divide between Castile, Hero, and Joe on whether or not there was any improvisation in After We Fell, period, the one thing they can all agree on over and over again is that there was no improv during the sex scenes. And there's a reason for that. And that's because sex scenes are planned down and mapped out to the very last second. Any director worth their salt will have their shot list planned out before they get to set. The reason being so the actors are comfortable and are aware of where and what the camera is doing while filming the sex scenes. And not only that, but they will have what is known as a closed set, meaning that if you do not have to be there, you are not going to be there. Basically, with the way that technology has gone, they can even do it to where they can remotely control the camera so that the only two people on the actual physical set is the actual actors. So in this case, Hero and Joe. So I don't know if that's how they filmed the sex scenes in After We Fell, but there was talk of that was how they filmed the sex scenes in the 50 Shades of Grey, is that the only two people on set were Dakota and Jamie, and they literally controlled the cameras remotely. But yeah, no, if you do not have to be there, you are not going to be there, basically. So there's going to be, or there should be no more horror stories where there was a show that came out a few years ago called Da Vinci's Demons, where Tom Riley and Laura Haddock, I think is her name, who played the main one of the main female characters, they were talking about this sex scene that they had, and they were talking about how literally, like, while they were filming, like, the boom, like, mic operator guy was, like, literally standing over them going just like breathing like really heavily and just like staring at them. So yeah, if you do not have to be there, you are not going to be there. It's going to be what is known as a very, very, very close set. And I want to go ahead and talk about a film that came out back in the 70s to kind of give you guys an example of why actors, need to know like where the camera is and what the camera is doing. So back in the 70s, there was a film that came out called Caligula, starring Malcolm McDowell, Helen Mirren, Sir John Gielgud, Teresa Ann Savoy, Peter O'Toole, and it was basically about the horrific reign of the Emperor Caligula. And this was like a very infamous movie from the 70s. And if you ever actually listen to the Blu-ray DVD like commentary that's been released from Malcolm McDowell, one of the stories that he tells is that while they were filming, him, John Gielgud, and Helen Mirren got into like one of the screening rooms and was able to take a look at like a few of the dailies that had been shot up to that point. And he tells the story of how, and I don't mean to laugh because this is actually really, really, really disturbing. So one of the things that they noticed, like while they were like watching the dailies, is that like one of the scenes that they were seeing was very blurry and out of focus. And so they were like, what the hell is that? Like, what is that supposed to be? And so like as the camera just like slowly starts, getting into focus and like slowly starts, pulling out, all of a sudden Malcolm says that Sir John Gielgud just like literally like out loud says like, oh my god, that's Helen's asshole. So yeah, no, like they actually literally had the camera like literally like that up close to Helen Mirren's ass. And again, this was like back in the 70s, but again, like that's like how Wild West and how free for all of this was back in the 70s. And there's like a lot of horror stories basically like that in terms of the industry, in terms of how not very much recently, but like I mean like over the years, and even like back when Game of Thrones was filming, like a couple of very recently, Gemma Whalen, who played Yara Greyjoy in the show, like she talked about how like, oh, it was a free for all like during that show. Like we didn't really have like an intimacy coordinator like during like the early years of that show. It was really like a free for all, and like pretty much like anything went, and it was like not the way to shoot sex scenes and yada yada yada. If you talk to any actor, like even the most lecherous performers out there, will tell you that it's really awkward to film a sex scene. Like the sex scenes are probably like hands down probably like the most awkward things that they actually have to shoot because they are mapped and down to the very last second. Everything is mapped out. So for all the people claiming the sex scenes and After We Fell are improvised, what exactly do you think is improvised? I mean, treat me like a child. Like, what parts of the sex scenes do you actually think are improvised? Intimacy coordinators were made so stuff like that wouldn't happen. And I want to give credit where credit is due, and I don't know like if intimacy coordinators were like a thing up until even like before this happened. But the person who is actually credited as the reason why intimacy coordinators are actually more prevalent in Hollywood today is the actress Emily Mead, who was in a show called The Deuce on HBO. She was really like one of like the trailblazers, like Paramount, to actually getting real like intimacy coordinators on HBO and in general. And I really don't want to give credit where credit is not due, and I don't want to give credit to the wrong person. But everything I've read so far really does suggest that Emily Mead is like one of the main actresses who was really like pushing hard for intimacy coordinators to really become a thing, because she was talking about the filming of the sex scenes on The Deuce, where again it was a free for all, where again it was very much that anything goes, and there was stuff that was happening that she was completely uncomfortable with. There was stuff that was happening that she was completely unaware of what was actually going to be happening, or like, oh, like the actor who she was working with would do something that was definitely not planned in the rehearsal, because again, like, this stuff is mapped out, it is planned out, and so there is no room for improvising during these sex scenes. Because again, then at that point, you kind of, because like you don't know how your other actor is going to react. Like you don't know like how your other like if your other actor is going to be comfortable with the improvisation that you do. So that's why you have to stick to the pre-approved, pre-planned stuff that you've actually mapped out for these sex scenes. The sex scenes in After We Collided, I mean, look, they were hot. They were blush, inducing. They were, completely fan yourself. And actually, to be honest, they went even farther than I ever anticipated that they would actually go. Because I didn't know that Hiro and Joe were that comfortable. So I was actually very shocked by how far the sex scenes actually went. Like, I mean, you look at the hot tub scene, like, no, I did not expect for them to actually go the route of him taking her from behind and literally like gripping the back of her hair. Like, I wasn't expecting that. So kudos to them for going as far as they did. And you know what? In a lot of ways, the sex scenes in After We Fell were probably the best sex scenes that we've had so far in terms of the franchise. But I'm sorry. I mean, I'm going to be the bad guy. They were mapped out and they were completely planned out. I mean, the part where, like I just mentioned, the part where Hiro takes her from behind and, is like grabbing her hair, planned. Hiro like full palm grasping her ass, during the gym scene, planned. The amount of thrust, planned. The amount of kisses, planned. The movement, the like, everything is mapped out down to the very last second, and that is why many actors, in the history of filming sex scenes have talked about like how very, unsexy it is. They're happy that we find it sexy. They're happy that we, get a little bit turned on, when we're watching the sex scenes, or embarrassed, however you react when you're watching sex scenes in films or television shows. But they're like, yeah, no, like on set, it's like the most like unsexy thing ever, because it's like, it's so clinical. So yeah, you know what? I hate to be the bad guy, but and I know that I'm killing a lot of people, but you know what? I'm willing to be the bad guy here because Hero, Joe, Castile have all said that there was no improvisation during the sex scenes, and yet there are some people who still want to stick to that idea that there was improv during the sex scenes. There are some accounts who want to keep spreading, the misinformation that there were improvisations during the sex scenes when there weren't. Because again, when you have Hero, Joe, Castile all saying that there wasn't, I don't know why there is this push to, just say like, oh yeah, no, like who cares? Like they weren't the ones on set. Like, oh, who cares? Because it's like, yeah, no, like they would know. Because there is like a great divide between Hero, Joe, and Castile on whether or not there was any improvisation during After We Fell, period. But the one thing that they can all agree on is that there was no improvisations during the sex scenes. So jump down to the comment section below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your continued love and support. As always, remember, if you like what you see here and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's go through all the stuff that you'll be able to find on this channel right now. So I'll be bringing you guys constant updates on After We Fell and After We're Happy. You guys are going to be so updated that you'll be begging me to stop the updates. Because I was terminated for so long, there's still some stuff from After We Collided that I do have to catch up on, including topic videos, and those are coming sooner rather than later. As always, remember, this channel would not be able to go to the heights that it has without you guys, and so for that, I'm eternally grateful. I know, there are plenty of fans out there, old and new, who have no idea, absolutely no idea that this channel exists, so please keep sharing the channel. Please keep spreading the word of Charles's Movie Channel, because this will easily be one of the best, if not the best, after-series channels that you'll find right here on YouTube, or dare I say anywhere. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing. My name is Charles. Welcome to the After Series channel. I'll see you later, After fans, Joe fans, Hero fans. Take care, y'all. Love you.